So have you ever wondered how to create that beautiful takeaway pizza with your oven at home? So in today's video we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to use a lovely starter dough, so that's like a pre-fermented dough in our pizza base. And we're just cooking in a regular oven. I'm going to show you how you end up with just such a lovely crust on the back of your pizza. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to press that subscribe button, and that will mean you're not going to miss any future videos. Let's get baking. We're going to start off by making the pizza base. Now I'm using instant yeast. If you're using fresh, instead of 5 grams, go with 10 grams. I've got 250 ml of tepid water. Make sure the water is not too hot. I'm going to leave the yeast in the water for 5 minutes just to soften. And then we're going to start to measure up. Now this is my sourdough starter. I'm going to do a separate video on how to make this starter. So I'm adding another 100 ml of tepid water to the yeast. So total water going into this recipe is 350 mils. Now I add a teaspoon of sugar, and the sugar is going to help to activate the yeast. So it's going to feed the yeast. I go with 30 mils of olive oil. And then I'm going to measure out my sourdough starter. Now this sourdough starter I've fed in the morning, which basically means I've added a little bit of flour to that mixture and I've left it for 1 hour to feed. Now again, I'm going to do a separate video on this one. Now sifted flour, 700 grams of strong flour. Now we want a strong flour because it has a large ratio of gluten in the flour, and that's what you want when you're making pizzas and bread products. Now when I'm mixing from the middle. So you make a well, you add the liquid into the middle, and you mix with a metal spoon until you can't mix anymore. Then I'm going to go in there with my hand, and I'm just going to bring the mixture together with my hand. Now when you're ready, you're going to spoon all of that mixture onto a clean tabletop, and we're going to start the process of kneading. Now if you've got a machine with a dough hook, you can use the dough hook and it'd be much faster. I personally like doing it by hand. I like the feel of the hand, I like working with the product. It's going to take about 7 to 8 minutes of kneading, whereby you're pressing the mixture against the tabletop for 6 to 7 minutes until the mixture is smooth and elastic. Now you're going to know when it's ready because you're going to pull the mixture apart and it's not going to rip. If the mixture rips, you need to keep kneading. Now grab the dough and stick it into an oil bowl, and you're ready for the first proof. So we're going to leave this in a warm area covered with cling film, and we're going to leave it for 2 hours. You can see the elasticity on the dough. So I cover that with a little bit of oil. That prevents it from drying out on the top. I'm going to cover this one with either a wet cloth, or you can use glad wrap or cling film. So you could leave this in the refrigerator and prove overnight, but I've just left it in the warm air for 2 hours until it's doubled in size. Once it's doubled in size, you're then going to add the salt. So you don't add the salt at the beginning because the salt is going to prevent the yeast from fully activating. So we add the salt afterwards. Then using a wet hand, you're going to mix that salt very well together through the dough. You can see how smooth the dough is. Then we're going to break the dough into portions. So we're going to roll the dough in floured hands until you get a ball-sized piece of dough, and then we're going to rest for further 10 minutes. Now this recipe does 15 medium-sized pizzas. I do it medium-sized because those size pizzas fit into my frying pan, and I'm going to show you what that means. I start my pizzas in a frying pan first, and then I place it into the oven. So you're just going to place an oiled piece of glad wrap over the top of the bread, and after 10 minutes you're going to see, you can notice the bubbles on the top. You know it's ready when they're 1.5 times the size. Now using floured hands, I'm just pushing down lightly on the dough, and depending on whether you like it thin crust or thick crust, press the dough to your desired thickness. Then I'm going to place that dough onto a piece of greaseproof paper, because eventually I'm going to place the papers directly into the frying pan. Now go with any filling you want. Oh, shoot. Don't try that. And I'm always going to put tomato. Now I've got the recipe for tomato sauce. I'll leave that in the description links. Now I'm going with tiger prawn, venison salami, capers, chili, mozzarella, and a little bit of sour cream. So baked sour cream on the pizza with fish is absolutely delicious. Mozzarella cheese over the top. I put a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, finish with a little bit of pepper, and then I'm going to take them directly into a hot pan. Now I've preheated my oven. It's on 200 degrees. It's heated from the bottom. You don't want to use a fan assisted oven, so turn the fan off. So I place the pizza into a hot pan and leave the paper in the pan. When the bottom of the pizza is crispy enough, you'll be able to remove the paper very easily with your hand. Now there's no oil in the pan whatsoever. When you've got a nice crispy base, you're then going to take your pizza and pop it into a tray and put it on the bottom shelf in the oven. Now if you've got a perforated tray, a tray with holes, that's the best tray to use. But if you've only got a normal cooking tray, then that's fine as well. Now I've got my oven on 200 degrees. I'll put the pizza into the bottom shelf in the oven for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I move it to the top shelf for further 1 to 2 minutes to gratinate the top. And you'll see how delicious that looks. And it's nice and crispy. You've got beautiful sour flavour coming through the dough, and it's soft in the middle as well. So you can see the base, how beautiful and crispy it is. Now you can use other things. You can use pizza stones. You can heat the tray up first in the oven. But I just find this method is much quicker. So I've cooked those 15 pizzas in about an hour. So you can see that simple process of starting the dough or the pizza in a frying pan before I put it into the oven. So it just means that you get a nice crispy base. So I always start the pizza in a frying pan, then I move it into the bottom of the oven, so the oven's heated from below, and then halfway through the cooking I just move it to the top shelf so it gratinates the top of the pizza as well. So altogether it cooks in about 5-6 minutes on about 200 degrees. All the recipes will be in the links, and thanks for watching.